Hartley Hall, dramatised from a short story by Ian Appleby. The characters: Sarah, Eliza Harris; Anna, Liz Parry; Barbara, Rebecca Short; Sir John Rowell, Ken Agnew; Mary, Sandy Haynes. In the village shop one morning.
Is that all then? A copy of the Times, half a dozen eggs and 2 croissants.
Yes, I'm afraid that's it. Oh, but I do have an interesting piece of gossip for you today.
Don't tell me. It's at the farmhouse has been let at last.
Oh, who told you that?
Oh, only Mrs. Black, the schoolmistress, the milkman, Mrs. Jones, and even the vicar mentioned it.
Oh, do you know who the new owner is?
Sadly, I've no idea, although I asked the vicar, who was very cagey.
Oh, perhaps.
Are you talking about the new owner of Hartley Hall?
The farmhouse, yes, we might be.
Well, what have you discovered? Go on, tell me, I can't wait to hear.
Nothing at all. Several customers have mentioned it, but no one, not even the vicar, seems to know anything.
Perhaps the vicar was just being discreet. Vicars are supposed to be discreet, you know.
Yes, but you'd have thought a lady vicar would have been both more curious and more communicative. I have to say that I'm disappointed in her.
What a patronising, if not to say sexist attitude.
Oh, don't call me sexist.
I just did.
Calm down, you two. People are wondering if it might be a celebrity seeking a bit of peace and quiet.
Well, there's no shortage of peace and quiet here, but it's unlikely, in my opinion. Of course, it might be a handsome single man, as Jane Austen writes, in want of a wife.
Well, I'm sure none of us are in want of a husband. A lover, though, might not be unwelcome.
No, you speak for yourself. What an interesting thought, though. Oh, perhaps it's only a boring little family that's moved in.
Well, Mrs. Jones said the house has been occupied for over a month and she has spotted groceries being delivered there by Tesco's in Northallerton. You might have thought he'd have visited the village shop if he'd been here for a month.
You assume it's a man, then?
I've heard gunshots, shots late at night. He must be shooting hares or rabbits.
It could be a woman.
He'd hardly be shooting a woman night after night.
I didn't mean that. I meant that these days a woman will do anything that a man does.
Yeah, well, almost anything. Know what I mean?
Well, I can't imagine any woman I know going out to shoot rabbits or hares or anything late at night.
Why can't we just call at the farm one afternoon and say welcome to the village?
Oh, I'd be too embarrassed. It could be very awkward.
I don't see why.
Well, you go on your own then.
I'd go with you, but I'd feel very forward going alone.
I assume we are all dying of curiosity. Yes? So
Yeah.
I'll go and discover the truth. I'll take the dog for a walk across his land and contrive to be quite near the house when my shoelace snaps, just like Emma's in the novel.
Well, good luck is all that I can say.
I look forward to hearing how you get on.
Hartley Hall at night.
Don't shoot, please don't shoot. My dog is loose. She's run off.
Who the hell are you? What are you doing on my property? There are signs to say trespassers not allowed.
Oh, I must apologise profusely, sir. I had no intention to trespass. I was giving my dog a late night walk when some gunshots startled her. She slipped her leash and she bolted across your fields. I'll catch her and we'll go.
Let me help you. I have a torch. Look, there's the dog by the trees. Call her.
Ellie, good girl. Here, girl.
She's coming.
There's a good dog. Oh, she's on her lead. I think we'd better be going. I'm so sorry to have been a nuisance.
For my part, I'm sorry to have scared both you and your dog. Do accept my apologies, Mrs.
Miss Saunders, Sarah Saunders. I run the village shop. I must say, I'm surprised not to have seen you there.
No, I never go into the village. In fact, I've not left Hartley Hall since I moved here 6 weeks ago.
Well, how do you shop?
Not that it's any of your business, Miss Saunders, but I have a delivery each week, and never at the same time, and before you ask, from Tesco. And now, good night.
Good night, Mr. Oh, he's gone.
Outside Hartley Hall some weeks later.
Hello.
Hello, Miss Saunders, we meet again.
Well, I'm surprised you remembered my name. It must be 3 weeks since our meeting in the dark.
Well, I don't have too many local names to remember, which is just as well. As you can see, I'm in the process of repairing this gate, which I saw was broken when I inspected all the farm walls and fences yesterday. I do everything myself. I want no truck with other people if I can possibly avoid it.
Yes, I did notice when we met previously that you avoided telling me your name.
You deduced correctly. I'm a very reserved person, Miss Saunders. That is why, but if you will know, then my name is Sir John Rowell.
Oh.
I would ask you to respect my privacy and not mention my name to your friends in the village.
You have my word, Sir John, but may I ask what brings you here to Rillington?
You may ask, Miss Saunders, but I shall not oblige by telling you. I came here to live privately and peacefully. I have no wish to be part of the lives of my neighbours and no wish for any of them to be part of mine.
Oh, you've made yourself very clear, Sir John.
I have no wish to offend you, Miss Saunders. I'm simply stating facts.
I'm not offended at all. You evidently do not wish for my company, so I shall be on my way. Goodbye.
Some months later, outside Hartley Hall.
Good afternoon, miss. I'm sorry, but Sir John is not at home. I will tell him you called.
You may go, Mary. I will speak to Miss Saunders. Well, what can I do for you, Miss Saunders?
Our vicar asked if you, as the principal landowner in the district, would come and judge the competitions at our church fete in 3 weeks' time. I told her there was no chance that you would.
Well, and you were quite right. So why have you bothered to come?
Well, simply because I thought I might just be able to persuade you.
A foolish hope. I'm sorry to disappoint you. But as you're here, you might as well come in and have a cup of tea. I shall ask Mary to make one and to bring us some scones.
It's many years since I was last in the house, Sir John. It seems completely changed. For a start, I see the windows have been replaced.
Yes, all of them. All locked. The outside doors all triple locked.
Oh.
The house is absolutely secure.
Surely you can't fear intruders in this quiet part of the world.
Miss Saunders, it is as well to be prepared. Now, how do you like my trophies on the walls? I've shot hippopotamus, tiger, elephant, and even gorilla.
Well, to tell the truth, I'm a bit shocked. No, very shocked. Oh, when I think of those poor animals, all shot for sport, I suppose.
You're quite correct. I've been a great traveller and hunter during my life, Miss Saunders. I've endured hardships and great adventures. I have often been on the edge of death and then survived. I faced some fearful brutes at uncomfortably close quarters, but the most fearsome has been man.
Man?
Yes, man is the worst of all. I've done lots of man hunting too in my time. Don't be so alarmed, Miss Saunders. Come, I'll give you a tour of the house. I'll ask Mary and my housekeeper to chaperone you if you like.
Oh, there's no need, Sir John.
Mary will be happy to accompany us. She'll tell you all about the pictures and the furnishings. Shall we begin? Only one room remains. I shall show Miss Saunders the dining room. Mary, you may go.
Thank you, Mary. You make an excellent guide. The house is lovely and you clearly love it.
Thank you, miss.
And now for the dining room, Miss Saunders. This way.
Oh, it's beautiful, Sir John. Those golden embroidered flowers simply shine against the rich black silk hangings.
It is Japanese work, specially designed for this room.
What's on earth on that square of velvet? I can't believe it. It's a hand, a human hand, a human hand.
Yes, Miss Saunders, a human hand.
And the chain, Sir John, big enough to hold an elephant, I should think, let alone a hand.
That loathsome object, Miss Saunders, was the hand of an American, my worst enemy. It was chopped off in the middle of the forearm, then skinned with sharp flints and dried in the sun for a week.
Oh, the hand's massive. He must have been a strong fellow.
Yes, he was strong, but I was stronger. I fixed that chain on the hand to stop it from escaping.
But surely the chain can hardly be needed now, can it? The hand can't run away.
Miss Saunders, this is no laughing matter. That hand is always trying to get away. The chain is absolutely necessary.
Oh, I'm sorry, Sir John. Forgive me. I simply don't know what to say.
The next day in the shop.
So you actually went into the house?
Were you not nervous or even a bit scared?
No, I was very confident and he was all politeness. He has a housekeeper who lives in...
Oh, a mistress, I bet.
Oh, certainly not. She looks about 100. He told me she'd kept house for him for years in various different countries.
What was the house like? Was it elegant?
Oh, it was very smart. It's been renovated from top to bottom, but what struck me was the number of animal heads on the walls. He told me he'd been a big game hunter for much of his life, and he was certainly very proud of all his trophies.
Ugh.
He talked a lot about guns as we walked through the rooms, but as we went into the dining room, I was wide-eyed, for against the black silk were golden embroidered flowers that shone like fire, and then I gasped, for in the middle of the largest panel there was a square of red velvet with a strange object attached to it. As I got closer, I saw with horror that this object was the hand of a man. Not a clean white skeleton hand, but a black, dried-up hand with yellow nails, bared muscles, and showing all traces of blood. Black blood crusted round the bones, which had been cut clean through as with an axe about the middle of the forearm. Round the wrist of this filthy object was riveted a powerful chain, big enough to hold an elephant. I turned to Sir John, who told me the hand had been that of his worst enemy, whose hand had been chopped off with a sabre, then skinned and dried in the sun for a week. Would you believe it?
Oh, how shocking. What did you do?
Well, I think this will shock you more. I gritted my teeth and I touched that human relic.
Oh,
The fingers were abnormally long and they were attached by enormous tendons to which fragments of skin were still sticking, even though the hand had been flayed. I tried to remain calm and I joked that the hand hardly needed a chain now, but Sir John said, "That hand is always trying to get away. The chain is necessary." The room suddenly seemed very still, hushed, and I became aware of 3 loaded revolvers, one on the table, one on the sideboard, and one on a chair. And I remembered then that I'd seen guns lying in every room that we'd visited. Do you know that for all his confidence, I think Sir John must be living there in fear.
oh, what a way to live.
Just fancy, all those guns. Were they all loaded?
I think so.
I almost feel sorry for him.
Do you think Sir John might invite you to go to the house again?
Oh, no. And if he did, I shouldn't go. Sir John was very pleasant and so was Mary, but I'll certainly not be going back there in a hurry.
Six months later, in the lane outside Hartley Hall.
Miss Saunders! Miss Saunders!
Oh, Mary, what is it? What on earth are you doing here at the gate at this early hour? It's 6 o'clock.
Oh, Miss Saunders, it's horrible. It's Sir John. He's dead. I found his body this morning.
Oh. Calm down, Mary. What on earth are you talking about? Sir John Dead? Are you sure?
Oh, yes, yes, no doubt about it. He's been murdered. Murdered. Oh, I found his body on the dining room floor this morning.
Did you not hear any noise, any screams, any cries? Have you telephoned the police or the doctor or the hospital?
I couldn't telephone. There's no landline, only Sir John's mobile, which is too complicated for me to use. I wanted to hurry to the village, but this gate is locked and I couldn't get out. So I thought I'd better wait for a passerby. Oh, and then you came along, thank goodness.
Well, you won't have to wait any longer. I'll climb over the gate and I'll go back to the house with you and phone the police on the way.
Oh, thank you, miss. Here we are. Prepare yourself.
Good heavens, the room's completely wrecked. What a mess. It looks as though a terrible struggle's taken place.
Yes, miss. When I opened the door this morning, the first thing I saw was Sir John's corpse lying on its back.
Oh,
Look, his waistcoat is torn and one sleeve of his jacket's been ripped off.
oh, he's been strangled, you can tell. Look at his face, swollen, terrifying. What on earth could have produced that expression of hideous dread?
And just look at his neck, miss. 5 holes and all the blood.
Oh, well, they look as though they've been made by a skeleton's fingers.
And it looks as though he's got something clenched between his teeth.
Oh, Mary, look at the wall. Look, do you see? That terrible flayed hand is gone. The chain's hanging loose.
Oh, I hated that hand. Sir John was obsessed by it. His behaviour's been quite odd for weeks. He kept getting letters. He would open them and burn them. He started to lash furiously at that withered hand with his horsewhip, night after night. He started going to bed late and locking his bedroom door. He would take a gun with him, and often I could hear shouting from his room as though he was arguing with someone. What am I to do?
Just keep calm and don't worry. The police will be here soon.
But what if they suspect me?
Oh, I'm sure they won't. They'll soon realise that you've been devoted to Sir John for a long, long time. You'll see.
11 o'clock the same morning in the tea shop.
What an amazing story. What a morning you've had. Are you recovered?
I think so, but it was a terrible shock.
Did the police interview you?
Oh, yes, thoroughly. They were annoyed with me.
Well, you weren't a suspect, surely.
No, I don't think so, but the police established that no door or window had been forced, no drawer or cupboard had been opened. The watchdogs had not been disturbed. Mary had unlocked the front door to get to the road to seek help.
Well, it must have been her, Mary, the housekeeper. If it's all as you say, no one else was in the house. No one else could have done it.
Well, Mary suspected no one, and the police soon decided it could not have been her.
Oh, most strange. There seems to be something of the supernatural at work here, don't you think?
Oh, I don't know what to think.
Well, why were the police annoyed? You didn't say.
They accused me of interfering with the evidence.
What had you done?
Well, I bent down to look at the corpse, and between the clenched teeth, I found one of the fingers of that vanished hand. At the second joint, it had been cut, or rather, bitten off by the dead man's teeth.
Oh.
Some months later, in the village tea shop.
Do you realise it's now 3 months since the murder?
Yes, and to think Sir John is now buried in our churchyard.
Well, the journal said no family, friends, solicitor, no contacts of any kind came forward when the death was announced. The case has been left open.
It's just weird.
Yes, really weird. The whole business seems unearthly, uncanny.
You must agree that Sarah's cooked remarkably well. I think I'd have had a nervous breakdown if I'd have been her, and I can't help myself, but I keep picturing that terrible scene at all sorts of odd times.
Oh, yes, I know what you mean. I've dreamt about that room and that awful hand on 2 or 3 occasions, but Sarah has said nothing.
No, nothing at all. Come to think of it, she's late.
That's most unusual, not like her. Oh, speak of the devil, Sarah, we're here.
She looks ashen.
You walked straight past us.
Oh,
Are you all right? Don't just stand there.
Sit down.
You look terrible. You're shaking.
Now take a deep breath and tell us what's happened.
oh, I'm so glad to see you. What a relief.
Hey, where are you going?
No, I was just looking to see who's here in the cafe, but it's okay. There's nothing to be afraid of, you know.
Of course there isn't, just a few regular customers. Who were you expecting?
Oh, no one, but there might have been something. Don't laugh. I'm serious, but I feel I'm being followed.
Oh, I'm sure you're not. Let's order a pot of tea.
Oh, strong black coffee for me.
Why don't you tell us what's upsetting you so? You're still trembling.
Okay. Well, about 2 weeks ago, I first had the feeling that something was following me and watching me. I felt nervous and I began keeping the windows closed. I stopped taking the dog out at night.
I've had nothing of this.
No, but you'd have thought I was being stupid. Anyway, I started having these terrible dreams. I would see Sir John lashing the hand or throwing furniture across the room. Some nights I imagined those awful animal heads from the walls looming over me in bed as if it was going to attack me. Oh, but worse than... Oh, I'm sorry, I just feel sick at the thought. But some nights I saw that fearful flayed hand hovering in mid-air and the skeletal fingers pointing towards me and getting nearer each time. Oh, and now I must tell you, I had the most frightening night of all last night. And as you can see, it was so real that I haven't got over it. I dreamt I saw that hand resting on Sir John's gravestone. I cried out in my sleep and I awoke shaking and sobbing, and then I saw the ghastly relic running like a scorpion or a spider across my bedroom curtains and walls.
Oh,
I must have fainted, then awakened. It was 3 times this happened during the night, and each time as I awoke, I saw that hideous relic running over my room like a huge insect. Morning came. I opened my eyes and I looked round the room, deeply shaken. To my amazement, even though the windows had been closed, the curtains were billowing. I got out of bed, drew them back, and then screamed, for there, to my horror, I saw on the windowsill the hand itself, raw and ugly, with the chain gone, and its one finger missing.
oh.